You are listening to the Becoming the Wealthy You podcast with Jermaine Foley. If you're a woman who makes good money in your career or business, but you're not building wealth like you want to, then you're in the right place. In this podcast, you'll learn how to stop overspending, break free from the cycle of debt, save lots of cash, and become the wealthy woman you were born to be. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am super excited about today's topic because I have Janice Saunders with me today. She is a life coach, an author, and the creator of the Seasonal Sisters universe. She helps women cut through all of the overwhelming health information and create simple, sustainable habits for mental, physical, and social wellness. Her mission is to help women stay active, thrive, and keep making the impact that they want with their lives. Janice, I am so excited for this conversation. How are you today?
I'm great, Jermaine. Thank you so much for inviting me. I am excited about our conversation.
I am too. Oh my gosh. So, Janice, please just share with the listeners why you're so passionate about wellness and why this work is so important to you.
Well, wellness is very important to me. I have been in the pharmaceutical industry for, a number of decades. I'm not going to say how many. And I learned very early on in that industry that people are very unwell. And, despite all of the things and all of the information, all of the providers that people can see, people are still not well in their body. They're not well in their mind. And as it relates to socially, people are isolated more now post-pandemic. So it's been a very interesting way that I've become interested in this type of work.
Yeah, I agree. Wellness is everything, and there's so many different types of wellness. So you focus a lot on the physical wellness, the mental, and the social. And of course, I love focusing on the financial wellness. And there are so many parallels. I love having health coaches, people who are all about wellness on the show because I feel like there are so many parallels between health and wealth. So with that, let's talk about why many women think that wellness means sacrifice and deprivation. And I bring this up because that's one of the things I'm firmly passionate about. I believe that a lot of women are not building wealth because they think they have to live this boring, frugal life filled with restriction and deprivation in order to get their money under control, because that's what society has fed us all these years. Stop buying the lattes, stop buying this, stop doing that. And sometimes we do need to spend more intentionally. But when we think that we have to give up everything in order to build wealth, a lot of times women just avoid it. And then they tell themselves they'll get to it. And then we all know that time is your biggest asset when it comes to wealth building because of compounding interest and things like that. And I can see how a lot of women put their health off to the back burner because they also are like, I just want to enjoy myself. I'm young, I have time. I can figure my health out later. So what do you say to that? Anyone who's thinking that they can't enjoy themselves and they have to be super restrictive with themselves in order to have wellness?
I think we can move right into one of the main parallels between health and money is that you have to invest now to see something later. And that's the same as it goes for money, as it goes for health. And not only that, it takes a long time to see what you're working on, what you're working with. If you're in your 20s and you are, just getting out of school, you're in that season of your life and you're thinking about your debt and you're thinking about getting married, you're thinking about having children, you're thinking about all these different things that require money. but they also require you to be healthy to do them.
Mhm.
And you're not going to see the end result of it for a period of time. So investing in something right now for the future is a parallel between health and finance. And
Mhm.
it's a really interesting one too, because it has a lot to do with whether you feel hopeful about the future. And a lot of people don't feel hopeful about the future. They feel very overwhelmed about whether they're going to be able to be the way they want to be in the future. And that type of overwhelm can lead to, like you discussed, not doing anything. And I would say, as it relates to health and wealth, you have to invest now. There's no better time like the present to take care of the future. And that's,
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter what realm you're in. That's the real deal with health and money.
It's so true. You have to put something in order to get something out. And how do you help people overcome that hump of like, oh my gosh, if I go all in on my wellness, then I'm not going to be able to have my favorite things. Or if I go all in, I'm going to have to give up things that I love. How do you help your clients kind of overcome that?
Well, I don't believe that you have to give up anything.
Mm.
That's not how the seasonal sisters work. The seasonal sisters work on you being mindful about what's important to you and making decisions from there. Goodness gracious, if, I just recorded a podcast the other day on my podcast, a little series called The A to Z of Wellness. And we're on the letter J, and it's about getting rid of junk. But let's be real, if you go to a football game, there's nothing to eat but junk food. So you don't want to be out of the loop and not have your fries or your cheese fries or whatever it is. And at the same time, every day you come home from work, you have a choice. Am I going to make a meal or am I going to drive through? You know, so intentionally knowing when you know, you're going to have junk. Because I don't think we can get rid of junk. At least I haven't been able to get rid of junk. But I am intentional about my meal planning. So I still go to brunch with my friends and enjoy brunch. And I'm intentional about my meals, breakfast through dinner,
Yes.
what I can control. So I don't think there's an either or. You can be healthy and enjoy your life. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to not be that way. And I don't want women to think that joy on the journey is not their birthright even.
Mm.
Joy on the journey is your birthright. So, let's find ways to add healthy habits to what you're doing. So, and things that can slip in consistently, using some of the tools of behavior science can help us to do that.
Love that. And so I have a motto, everybody knows it. It's called the do both method. You can do both. You can build wealth and enjoy life at the same time. And I feel like you can use the exact same idea when it comes to health. So you mentioned these tools based in neuroscience. I have a bunch of them that I have in my back pocket to pull out to help anybody who's struggling with money. I was just talking to someone who's like, "Oh my gosh, I struggle with just buying things because they're on sale." So I gave her quite a few different tools that she can pull out whenever that happens, right? So what are some of the tools you give your clients, your listeners, if they're struggling to like do what you said, plan ahead? Like, I want the treats, but I find myself overeating treats. It's
Mhm.
not, occasional for me. It's happening more often than I want to. What are some of the tools you would offer them?
Well, one tool to manage treats is to give yourself a time for a treat and an amount of a treat. And one of the ways that behavior science kind of hits us is we can use something called a commitment device. And I'm sure that in finance, that's something that is easily done. In health, it's not as easily done, although it is something that we talk about. Because the commitment device says, hey, if you go out of bounds on this, you add $1 or $5 or $500 to a charity that you don't want to get that money. So you remain consistent in those ways. And it really requires that a person is honest with me, honest with themselves, because I may be, managing that commitment device with them. So I think that the thought of it actually does make an impact on behavior. And even oppositely working. Hey, if we get through this and you add one healthy habit in your mental wellness, your physical wellness, and your social wellness, and we get through, whatever the commitment time is, I'm going to donate some money to a charity that you do want it to go to. So that's another tool that we use as an incentive to kind of improve how the behavior can work. There are a lot of tools. That's one that I'm trying to, kind of run on the finance track because we do use and talk about those types of tools as well,
Mhm.
because money is something that people pay attention to. Finances are everything. You get into a relationship in any kind of way,
Mhm.
it becomes finance
Yeah.
in very quickly.
Okay, so if someone is listening and they're just like, okay, I'm feeling like, I'm in my 40s or my 50s. I have not been my best self when it comes to my health. Tell me, what are some of the things you would coach them on if they're feeling behind? I don't know. I hear clients tell me all the time, well, I should have started investing in my 20s or in my 30s. Now I feel behind. Do you ever have people feeling like that with their health?
Oh, absolutely. Like we said in the beginning, I mean, there's a Buddhist teacher who says the best time to take care of the future is in the present moment. There's no better time to start taking care of your health or your money than the day you decide that it's important.
Hmm.
Because you can't go in the past and start doing something. It doesn't work like that. But
Right.
if you decide today that health is important, let's create a vision for
Yeah.
what a healthy life in the decades to come looks like. And
Hmm.
then we can work backwards. If your vision is, let's say your top three things you want to do, you want to be able to travel. That means you want to be able to get through the airport with your luggage. You want to be able to hustle for a flight. You want to be able to, go hiking while you're on your trip, let's say. And you want to be able to get up off the floor if you fall down.
Hmm.
Because let's be real about what happens as we age. Some of the things that used to work, they don't work as well as they used to.
Hmm.
So when you're developing a wellness plan, if that's your vision, well, let's talk about what you need to do on a regular basis to make that a reality. Those are that's where I would start.
Yeah, I love that. So it's like instead of being past focused, like beating yourself up about what you didn't do in the past, it's just like your future is right in front of you. It's wide open for the taking. Why not be future focused? And I'd love to give the idea that, no matter how old you are right now, if you're in your 40s, your 50s, it's very possible that you can live to be 100 years old. And that means you have a lot of time left. And to Janice's point, to your point, what you do today is shaping your future. So let's stop being past focused and start being future focused. Because, yes, the best time to have planted a tree would have been 20 years ago or whatever, but the next best time is today. I love
Yeah.
that so much.
And to stick with the gardening analogy, if you plant today, 5 years, 10 years, you're going to see it. And that's what's wonderful about the parallels between money and health.
Hmm. Yeah, and I love how you talk about, you already mentioned this, that, you have to start doing things today. Your wellness today is for the future. I don't know exactly how you say it, but I love how you say it. Say it again so we can hear it. If you've been listening and realizing that money is the one area you just can't seem to figure out, even though you're successful everywhere else, hear me when I say this. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that traditional money advice wasn't made for women like you. Women who earn good money, want to build wealth, and still enjoy their lives. My clients all start where you are, paying off the same credit cards over and over again, saving up to a certain amount only to spend it back down, or feeling like based on their income, they should be so much further along by now. But with my help, they change all of that. One client paid off over $11,000 in credit card debt and never ran it back up again. Another saved $5K in just 2 months. And another went on multiple vacations without going back into credit card debt. They are not special unicorns. They're women just like you, great at making money and ready to finally get great at not only enjoying it, but also keeping it and growing it. So if you've been listening and thinking she's talking directly to me, this invitation is for you. Don't keep pushing this off. You and I can fix this together, privately, safely, and without judgment. All you have to do is go to jermainefoley.com/consult to book your wealth building strategy consultation or click on the link in the show notes. Let's finally get you unstuck with money.
The best way to care for the future is to take care of the present moment.
Yes. So
That is that I just love that because this is what happened to me last summer. I had what to me seemed like a very alarming health challenge. I couldn't open jars. Now, or a bottle of water. I lost grip strength in my hands.
Mhm.
Who loses grip strength when they're 56, 57 years old? Nobody, right?
Mhm.
I went to a hand specialist, and you know what he said? He said, this is the number one reason people come into my office. And he also said, you know what? Really not a lot we can do. And you can come back if you're in a lot of pain and we can give you a shot. I said, oh, okay. I was wearing this sleeve and I was doing zero. And I said to myself, I think I feel like maybe I need to just work on strength. So I added strength training twice a week to my wellness routine. And I'm not a weak person. I'm in my life, I lift things, I get up off the ground. I have all of my health routines. I go to dance class, I walk at least 30 minutes a day. I mean, I do the things.
Mhm.
But the hand strength was something I didn't know I could lose so rapidly. And I didn't, I just didn't know, right? Today, fast forward a year, no problem opening jars. And I realized my son, who came home from college in March for like spring break, he noticed it first. He said, "Man, Mom, you can open stuff now." I said, that's strength training. I'm
Mhm.
not going to be that one that's not going to be able to open jars. I have to solve that problem. Now, you know, maybe it just happened that way, but I have to think I pulled a lever in my life that I had control over to help myself in this. And that's what we can do with our money, and that's what we can do with our health. Because I think 40% of premature death happens because of things that we have control over. Think about it: seatbelts, smoking, these types of things, alcohol consumption. These are things that cause premature death. We have control over, and doing other things to prepare for the future that we can do helps us to do better in our health outcomes as well as our financial outcomes. That's just a little story about me.
No, that's so good because it really helps us to know like we can take our power back. Like
Yes.
just because circumstances happen, come upon us, like you could have literally, just, oh, this is just how it is. I've lost
Mhm.
strength. I'm going to wear this brace. I'm going to go get those shots. But you decided, no, I'm going to do something. I'm going to take back power and see how I can influence this situation, how I can impact the situation. And look at you now. And I feel like a lot of us sometimes we feel that we don't have that control and that power, but we really do. I had a client recently who we just started working together. And I had her do an exercise where she just really identified where all her money was going. And when she came back, she was like, oh my God, I was so nervous to do it because I was afraid to look. You know, I didn't want to see. I've been ignoring it for so long. But she said, now that I see it all, now that I see how much I'm bringing in, where it's going, some places I want to keep sending it that way, but other places I don't. And now I feel like I have so much control. And
Yes.
it is such a empowering feeling when we take back our power because we all have it, but a lot of times we relinquish it to circumstances and things that we really don't have to give it up to.
I agree with that. And I also want to say that I am not against getting shots. I'm
Yeah.
not against any pharmaceutical intervention that's needed.
Yes.
And I hadn't exhausted all the resources that I could do before I
Hmm.
got to that stage. I'm always doing that. I'm always saying, hey, have you done this? Have you worked with this? Because nobody ever wants to take medication, but medication has been the industry that I've been in forever. And medication is there for a reason. And I don't want people to think that they shouldn't take it. I don't believe that. And I also believe that we can help ourselves,
Yes.
on this journey to a more vibrant and healthy life for decades into our marginal decades when we are a little bit more mindful about how we're spending our time each day in
Yes.
terms of adding healthy habits.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that because yes, some people choose to go that route with the shot, and maybe you would have too if the strength training didn't.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Um, and it's just good to say, like, sometimes we can take a step back and think, like, okay, these are my options. What's option C? Like, we have option A, option B, what's option C? And sometimes option C is something that we haven't really thought about before, and it could be the answer to whatever we're dealing with. So I love that so much. So, Janice, I know that you sometimes refer to yourself as an IPP, inspiring positive person. What does that mean to you, and how does that show up in your work?
Oh, well, I made up the term IPP,
Okay.
inspiring positive person, because that is how people describe me. When you're thinking about what you should bring to anything, I feel like the first thing you should do is ask people, hey, how do you see me? And people see me and experience me as an inspiring, positive person. And that's how I came up with that term. How does it show up in my work as a coach? I feel that everything that I do has a lot to do with three areas: communication, coaching, and health. These are areas where I use inspirational language to speak with people about how they can make a change that is going to help them to reach the outcomes that they have identified. And that does require engendering hope and engendering a hopeful outlook on what's to come, what you'll be able to do, how you can manage obstacles. That is an inspirational message. And I
Hmm.
feel like sometimes I could be an inspirational person.
That's awesome. Yes, I agree with you. You are definitely an inspirational person.
Oh, well, thank
So, yeah. So, anyone listening right now and they're just like, okay, Janice has inspired me. I really want to take my health to the next level. What's the first thing or the next thing you would tell them to do?
I would say, what do you want to be able to do in, depending on how old you are, in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years? And when you decide what you want to be able to do, then you can start making a plan. If you're in your 20s and you're thinking about this, maybe you're preparing yourself for the next phase of your life, and maybe you want to have children. So you need to be fortifying. You need to be paying attention to how to care for yourself in that way.
Mhm.
Maybe if you're in like my age, where my next milestone birthday is 60, I'm thinking, hey, I need to be doing all of the things to help me sleep better as a postmenopausal woman. I need to be doing all of the things that help me eat better so that I am, not falling prey to a lot of the problems women have in menopause because your body changes. You don't eat the same. Your body doesn't respond the same way as you get older. And I'm looking to 70 and 80 now as decades where I need to be prepared to be active. And that requires balance. So I do more balance work in my day than I did when I was in my 40s. In my 40s, maybe I was doing more core work. I
Hmm.
do core work differently now, but than I did when I was in my 40s.
Love that. So it just starts with the vision. Like, what do you want your life to be? And then take that vision and start taking action steps so that you can get there. I love that so much. And for some people, it could be, I just want to be able to really play with my grandkids, in 20 years of that. That's probably my goal. Like, I want to be able to lift them up and run around the park and
Mhm.
all of those kinds of things. And if that's the case, to start strengthening yourself
That's
now.
right, because we think, oh, that's just going to come naturally.
Hmm.
But listen, I want all of the women and probably a few men who are out here listening to say, hey, that is not promised
Hmm.
because the statistics are not on your side
That's
in
true.
terms of you being able to run around when you're in your 60s and 70s after grandchildren.
Hmm.
That takes a lot of preparation. Picking them up off the floor. Oh, you think, oh, that's easy. No, it's not. That takes some care and preparation. And when we think about the people in our life right now, you may know people who are in their 50s, who are in their early 60s, who have had challenges.
Yeah.
Maybe their knees hurt, maybe their feet hurt, maybe their hips hurt. And those simple things that you just outlined, like running after your grandchildren, picking people up, are not going to be that simple because
Hmm.
they sound, it sounds like the whole grip strength thing. Who thinks that you're not going to have grip strength? When you're younger, you never think that you're not going to be able to run and pick up a kid.
Yes.
As you start seeing those decades, you start saying to yourself, you know what? I need to start working on this yesterday because it is a change. I mean, I don't know about you, but my mother is in her 80s and she is in good health. Thank you. And she's also not as strong as she was 5 years ago, and definitely not as strong as she was 10 years ago. So
Yeah.
things change, and we can watch our mothers, our aunts, and our older sisters and see how this is working.
Yeah, for sure. Love
Mhm.
that. And it's just like kind of how we started this conversation. You have to put some work in if you want to get something out. And so if you want to reap the benefits of being healthy, strong, and being able to enjoy those experiences, you have to put in a little bit of work today so that when it's tomorrow, you're ready. Same with money, you all. Same with money. Janice, this conversation was so good. I cannot wait for my listeners to hear it. Now, if they want to connect with you further, what's the best way to do that?
People can reach me on my Instagram page, and I'm sure you'll have all those links in the show notes.
Yes.
And that's the best way to kind of connect. You can download a free gift that I have that called 7 Ways to Shine Like the Sun, which will definitely be in the show notes also. And if I may, I'd like to leave people with three things.
Yes.
Number one, mental wellness is amazing. And one of the ways that you can do that is to get a consistent gratitude practice rolling. Number two, you want to be more mindful of what you eat? Start counting the colors of your food. More colors in your meal, the healthier your meal is. Number three, social wellness. Do not isolate on a problem alone. Phone a friend. These are just three things that, I have a wellness card deck And I, have a coaching, program that goes along with the wellness card deck called the Wellness Manifestation Toolkit. And what's important is these are things that are easy.
Mhm.
They, when done consistently, make a difference statistically. These are not little things out here that I just pulled out of the sky on my own. I don't do that. I I invest in finding where there is peer-reviewed data on how well these activities work, and I experiment with them. They do work, and they have peer-reviewed data that show that they improve your health and happiness. So I would say start with those three, connect with me, and you can learn more.
I love that. Gratitude is so good. If you just allow yourself just to like be grateful for the little tiny things. One time just went on a rampage of gratitude, just thanking God for like my pinky, for my toes, for like the little tiny things. And it just really gets you feeling really, really good. So I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And yeah, and you all, I will have all of Janice's information linked in the show notes, and I will see you all next week. Bye bye. Hey, if money is the one area of life you just can't seem to figure out, even though you make good money, you're not alone. That's why you're invited to book a complimentary one-to-one money consultation with me so that we can figure out how to solve your biggest money challenges. To sign up, simply go to jermainefoley.com/consult or check out the show notes. Hope to meet you soon.